made their sacrifice.
Okay, pleasant good morning to everyone. Welcome to another featured program of Policing with You. We're here today with the Commissioner of Corrections, Mr. Terrence James. Welcome, Mr. Terrence James.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Yes, welcome
for
to
having
the
me
program.
today.
Yes, sir. I want to thank Mr. James for taking time out to come and be with us here at the program today. Today we're basically discussing remissions, extra remissions, and the process of pardon of prisoners at the magistrate court. Her Majesty's prison, sorry. Her Majesty's prison, a little tight tongue there. Okay, and we have the Commissioner of Corrections here to guide us along the way. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into the topic area, and my first question would be, previously the head of the prison was a superintendent. Now, the title have changed to Commissioner of Corrections. So, sir, Mr. Commissioner, can you explain to the listening public the change and when it occurred?
All right, good morning to our listeners out there in Radio Land and the various platforms. It's always a pleasure to be at ZIZ and in your presence, Mr. Francis. It's been a while since I haven't been here on the program Policing with You. As most persons would have known, that I would have transferred, now taking up residence at Her Majesty's prison as the Commissioner of Corrections.
Yes.
Now, as you asked the question, the title or the post used to be Superintendent of Prison.
Yes,
in 2019, the administration then would have changed the title to Commissioner of Correction. So the amendment was made to Chapter 19.08, which is the Prison Act, to be the Commissioner of Corrections.
Okay, so is this unique to St. Kitts? Are we setting the trend, or are we doing what the other outer world is doing?
Right, we are just following on the heels of the other correctional facilities in the region, that they are changing the head of the correctional facilities from Superintendent of Prison to Commissioner of Corrections, because they're thinking the concept is when persons enter these institutions that there should be some sort of corrections. They would have changed their perspective on life, and would have some sort of rehabilitation would have taken place. And so this is the way that the facilities or the administration in the region are changing the name to correctional facilities.
Okay, so you all started with the word itself.
Yes.
Correctional facilities. Understood. Okay, remissions. Could you explain to the listening public what is meant by remissions in accordance with the Prison Act?
Right. Persons would have heard that individual would have been sentenced to prison by the court, and in a short time, sometimes they are back out. And so that's because persons don't really understand the Prison Act, which speaks about remission. Remission really is, in short, to release a person from custody and an obligation. So in the Prison Act, 1 year, which we know is 12 months, in the Prison Act, Chapter 19.08, it speaks specifically of what should happen to an individual when he's sentenced to prison for. I'll give you in a short answer, as though someone was sentenced to 1 year in prison. That person will only spend 2/3 of that year.
2/3?
2/3. And so 2/3 of 1 year, 12 months is 8 months.
8 months.
And so under the Prison Act, Chapter 19.08, 1 year in prison is 8 months. And so if I may read from the Prison Act, Section 200 of Chapter 19.08, it clearly states that every prisoner sentenced to a term of imprisonment, whether by one sentence or by consecutive sentences for a period exceeding 1 month, shall become eligible for unconditional release when he or she shall have completed 2/3 of the said term or imprisonment, in addition to any number of days forfeited under Section 185. So that clearly is telling you that after an individual has served 2/3 of that prison sentence, we shall unconditionally release him. So that straight up is telling you that a year in prison, if a man is sentenced to a year in prison by the court, after he served 2/3, he shall be released. So that is clearly telling you that a year in prison is only 8 months, which is 2/3 of the 12 months.
Okay, to follow up on your statement, so being a former prosecutor, so the question to you is that, one, somebody is sentenced, in case get tried and the magistrate decide to sentence somebody to 1 year in prison,
Yes.
okay, and you are saying 1 year is equal to 8 months.
Right.
How about if a magistrate sentenced somebody to 12 months in prison? How long would they spend?
Right. Well, 12 months is equivalent to 1 year.
Yes.
So they will spend 8 months.
8 months.
Right,
Okay,
because it's 2/3.
Okay.
Right, 2/3 of the 12 months.
How about if they're sentenced
normally-
to 30 days?
Right.
That's a little different.
That will be a little different,
Okay, that's a little
because it's outlined here again straightforward that if someone is sentenced to 1 month in prison, 1 month, it says, providing, if you go down a little further, section 200 give you another paragraph. It said, providing that nothing in this rule shall authorize the reduction of a period of imprisonment to be a period less than 31 days. So 31 days is equivalent to 1 month in prison. And so if you're sentenced to 31 days, you must serve the 31 days.
31 days.
Yes, because the law said so. Yeah, so 1 month in prison is equivalent to 31 days, but a year in prison is equivalent to 8 months, which is 2/3, because we have to release you when you have served 2/3 out of that 1 year. That is what the law is saying.
Yes.
So we have to abide by by what the law is saying. So that's why when some people see an individual is already back out in the street, they say, how come he get a year in prison and he don't come out so quick? He already out. That's because by law, a year or 12 months is equivalent to 8 months in prison.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarity, because from time to time in the past I would hear some persons would get sentenced to 1 year.
Yeah.
And then at some point, depending on the case, I would hear a person get sentenced to 30 days. I was like, you know, so I understand.
Because sometimes persons come into the prison, the manager, it's unfortunate that persons are still coming to the prison for debt as debtors, and so sometimes they have to pay a certain amount because of the case. If in default, they might just spend 7 days or 14 days. That is below the 31 days, so they will have to spend the full days.
I understand. Okay, to move along a bit. Yes, prison is synonymous with sentencing. You know.
Yes.
So we know that. So life sentence. What is literally a life sentence? In America, we hear some person get 2 life sentence.
Yes.
Sometimes here, depending on the case, some persons, an individual is sentenced to life. In accordance with the prisoner, what is literally a life sentence?
All right. From we have known from time past that once a person is convicted of murder, they were sentenced to be executed. But there are times when they are sentenced to life imprisonment. In the past, life imprisonment would have mean life in your natural life until death.
Life is life.
Life is life. But in recent time, we have seen that life imprisonment has now a number had been placed on it. In some cases, well, we had individuals that would have been taken back to the court, and they would have used a benchmark of 35 years as the benchmark, and they have what we call mitigating factors that will go in favor of the individual, so it can reduce the number of years that they will be serving. But I think the appeal court is now trying to look into this matter, and I'm trying to have a number. When a person is sentenced to life in prison, they give a number that they will serve, because when a person comes into the prison, again, he has to be given remittance based on if he's given a number of years in sentence. Because remember, if we shall release him after he served 2/3 of his sentence, and so as you ask, what is life? It's no longer that life mean until the end of your natural life. Okay, so persons have to understand that things are changing, people are seeing things differently. Who would have ever thought that marijuana would become decriminalized in our society today? So people are seeing things from a different perspective. So yes, people would have committed gruesome offenses, committed murder and convicted in the court of law. And so the court are looking at things differently and have looked at, should a person really spend the rest of their natural life in prison? Person would have rehabilitated while in prison. Person would have shown remorse against the crime. And so the whole judicial system is being looked at in terms of sentencing person to life imprisonment.
I understand. Thank you very much for that. That is interesting. Interesting to know that while things are changing outside of St. Kitts, we too have to adjust with the change of time. Okay. To move along, extra remittance. We spoke about remittance, spoke about life sentencing and a few other things. Now, can you explain what is extra remission?
Right.
Extra remission, sorry.
Extra remission, again, according to the Prison Act. As I said before, persons would have entered the prison based on their or sentenced by the court. And so, as I mentioned, that they would have been given a remission, we have to release them after serving 2/3 of their sentence. In section 201 of the same Prison Act, extra remission can be given to an individual. This means that an individual is in the prison, he is participating in rehabilitation programs, he has some skills inside the prison there where he worked diligently inside the prison. As we see individual inmate goes out and from time to time to do work, and they do work to assist other government departments. They help build structures in other government departments, renovate cupboards in government department. So all these are work done by inmates in a positive note. And so the commissioner can write to the minister and indicate to the minister that, sir, this individual has shown great remorse to his crime that he has committed. He has taken part in rehabilitation program. He is improving in his industrial work inside the prison. He is in a right frame of mind. I think soon he will be able to be discharged and reintegrate back into society. And I recommend that 2 months or 6 months be deducted from his sentence. And so this is what you call the extra remission, because of the good work and rehabilitation process that is taking place in the prison with him. Then the commissioner can write to the Minister of National Security. This does not have to go back to the court, because this is a report that I will send to the minister indicating to him that this inmate is doing well, and I think he can be reintegrated back into society much quicker or sooner than his sentence. So he is given extra remission, or what we call further remission, according to the Prison Act.
Okay, well, I would ask two things in a way, because I know that in the past, we have some prisoners, they have embarked upon gaining some academic qualifications, and they get degrees. Additionally, some prisoners have in turn opened the doors according to your good office and have taught persons in society accounts and different subjects and English and maths, and so society have benefited from that. I know there are prisoners who come out and do the cupboards and as you said before, and do those things. Is there a point system you have generate?
We don't really
how does
have
that decision come about?
We don't really have a point system, but as I said, because you have the section in the Prison Act that speaks about extra remission for those inmates who on good behavior. What happened is that in section 35 of the same Prison Act, it speaks about the industry of the inmates, and so every 4 years, a review should be done on these inmates, so that every 4 years, suppose an individual is doing like say 16 years in prison, which means he can get at least 4 reviews in that 16 years. Yeah, and so if every review he gets a 6 months deducted from his because based on his good behavior and things like that, so he can end up get a 6 months, another 6 months, another 6 months. So that could be 2 years deducted from his sentence. So you see,
from his 16 years.
From his 16 years, bring him down to 14 years. So you say instead of him being discharged in the 16 years, he can be discharged within 14 years, which is an early discharge he will be getting. So in this case, he would have benefited from his good behavior, taking part in rehabilitation programs, doing extra work. You spoke about the inmates teaching classes.
Yes.
We have a fairly good academic program inside the prison where inmates teach other inmates and they're able to obtain passes at CSEC and CXC examination. As a matter of fact, we have 2 inmates that we have a pilot project that they are doing tertiary level education at this time. One is doing account through the UWI program, and one is doing business administration.
Bachelor's degree.
Yes. Alright, so we are trying to pilot a project because they are individuals in Her Majesty's. Well, it's now His Majesty's prison because of the the king.
That's true. His Majesty.
His Majesty's prison. But there are individuals in the prison who take their academic serious in that while they are there, they are making good use of their time instead of wasting time. They are making good use of their time and participating in the academic program. We usually have a program at the Mawisilia School where the inmates goes there and teach civilians. Yes, we as a matter of fact, we are about to recommence that program again. We had closed it due to the vacation. So now school has reopened. We are about to restart that program again. Miss Virgil Hodge is the liaison officer for that program in Her Majesty's prison, and so we do give back. The inmates do give back in this form to society,
which adds to extra remission.
Okay.
Well, Commissioner, we have one more question before halftime, GQ, but I wanna say thank you from your good office at the prison for the work that you all are doing, especially with the academic area, because I'm known of 1 or 2 persons who have benefited from that program, and I know a few inmates themselves who personally and they too are doing some very good work, especially the way they teach and deliver. Is like, wow, can't believe these guys reach that level.
Yes.
It's impressive.
Definitely.
Very impressive.
And we were having some communications to the Ministry of Education. The Permanent Secretary, Mr. Hodge, was instrumental in assisting us wherever he can in our program. And so we want to continue that program, and this is the way, as I said, that the inmates give back to society.
They're doing a good job.
Yes.
Okay, one last question before we take a break for a word from our sponsors, and when we come back we'll open the lines. I do have a few more questions after that for the Commissioner here, but we'll entertain the callers while we follow up on the other questions. But my question before halftime is, can you explain to the listeners the mechanism involved in a prison getting a pardon?
Alright. This could be a very ticklish subject area for the prison, because the prison do not pardon people. Our job is not to pardon. A pardon is where solely and the Governor General, according to the Constitution, Section 66 of the Constitution. And so I just want to read, if I may, briefly from Section 66(1) of the Constitution. It says here, the Governor General may grant a pardon either free or subject or lawful condition to any person convicted of any criminal offense. That's A. B. He may grant to any person respite either indefinite or a specified period of the execution of any punishment imposed on that person or for any such offense. C. He may substitute a less severe punishment for any punishment imposed on any person of such offense. And D. He may remit the whole or any part of the punishment imposed on any person for any such offense, or for any penalty or forfeiture otherwise due to the Crown on account of any such offence. So, in short, the Governor General had the authority in Section 66(1) of the Constitution, as I am reading from the Constitution here, that he can pardon any person who commit any criminal offence. Yeah, he has that authority by way of the Constitution. Okay. He said he can substitute in C, substitute a less severe form of punishment to any punishment imposed, right, on any person for any such. Meaning that if a person maybe was sentenced to be executed, he can pardon that person to spend life in prison instead of being executed.
Okay.
Yeah,
so make adjustments.
Make adjustments, so to speak. So he can reduce it from a severe to less severe. Or if somebody is serving a life sentence, he can pardon them indefinitely. Yeah. So the Governor General, according to Section 66(1), have the authority under our Constitution. Okay. I know. I don't want to get into too much of detail in this section because that is for the Governor General.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
Before any pardon is being done, though, a mercy committee, what we call a mercy committee, must do their diligent work and send this report from their investigation and their work to the Governor, to the Minister of National Security, who then send it on to the Governor General for him to act in his own deliberate judgment. Okay, so that is for the Governor General, all right, in terms of pardon. Why I mention this is because once an individual enters the prison for a sentence, he can get what we call remission, which is the time served, the 2/3. He can get further remission so that he can get an early release, or he can be pardoned by the Governor General. So you see the stages that when an individual comes into the prison is how he can be released. Because as a commissioner, I cannot release somebody from the prison unless they go through these phases. Yeah, you either time serve, your remission, or you get further remission that you get an early release based on your further remission, or you are pardoned by the Governor General. That's how you can get released from the prison after you've been sentenced to His Majesty's prison now.
His Majesty's prison. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Right.
So for what you are saying, a person being sentenced to prison is not the end.
It's not the end.
They have ample opportunity to correct their ways,
right,
and be engrafted back into society.
As I told the inmates when speaking with them, they are one of these days you can be reintegrated back into society. So you have to make, once you're there, you have to try and rehabilitate yourself, be involved in program that is offered inside the prison, and make yourself productive, because one of these days you can be reintegrated back into society.
Thank you very much. GQ, can we have a break and get back?
Keeps us separated.
Start fresh with the cash you need until payday. Buy groceries or pay bills and rest easy. With a Ready Cash Payday loan, you pay 0 interest and you get same-day approval. It's that easy. Apply now by visiting any of our branches or apply online at ReadyFinanceCaribbean.com. Contact us today to start fresh with the cash you need. Courts Ready Cash. We are ready when you are. Terms and conditions apply.
Isn't it great when your experience pays off? Finally, drivers 50 years and over can enjoy the benefits of their years of driving experience. With Beacon's 50 Plus plan, you can expect a hassle-free sign-up, affordable fixed rates, and free windscreen cover with your car insurance. Call Kane Agencies Limited at 465-3333 or log on to beacon.co.tt and get driving today.
Mommy, remember you told me if I pass all my exams, you would buy me a brand new laptop computer, a cell phone, and a PlayStation 4? Well, here are the results.
Wow, son, you did great. But where can I find all these stuff at affordable prices?
Smart Electronics, Mommy. They have stuff for the entire family. They have washing machines, cell phones, tablets, refrigerators, TVs, blenders, irons, microwave ovens, Bluetooth speakers, and much, much more. and they are located at Port Zante opposite the food court.
Wow, but son, where did you get all these information?
My friend told me, and he also told me if you buy them somewhere else, they won't last.
Is that so?
Yes, mommy, so I don't want you to buy them anywhere else but Smart Electronics.
Okay, son, get dressed. We're going down to Smart Electronics.
No need to go to St. Martin anymore. We have everything available right here in St. Kitts. And remember, we have only one store in St. Kitts, and we are located at Port Zante opposite the food court. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Okay, pleasant good morning. Welcome back to a feature program of Policing with You. I have here in the studio with me, I'm the Commissioner of Corrections, Mr. James, and we are speaking about several areas of remission, extra remission, and pardon. Now, if we have any calls, we'll take the calls while we follow up on the other questions. We have a call? Okay, pleasant good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Commissioner James.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Not bad.
A few things broken down in 3 parts. Congratulations to you and your team and your predecessors for the systems you've put in place to rehabilitate. I can testify to that because when I was Carnival Chairman, your team used to come out every single year and work diligently, and they were always well behaved outside. So I commend you for all the work you've been doing. I have to ask, I remember while listening to you, I remember a picture called Shawshank Redemption. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's about a prison. And recidivism is one of the concerns that the prison management team was facing. Persons being released and not feeling welcomed by society. Hence, they would quickly return. Some even coined the term and said they have been institutionalized. There were halfway houses for them to stay when they got out, either at the end or early. And there were also companies that provided some form of employment for them, because we all know there's a stigma attached. Many of the guys who would have worked when I was Carnival Chairman meet me on the outside, and I congratulate them, beg them, please don't go back. So how expansive is your program, and do you think you'll ever venture into halfway houses and corporate partnerships to establish employment for these folks? I listen off here, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner.
All right, thank you for your question, dear caller. I think I would recognize your voice, but I wouldn't call your name. Yes, maybe you was peeping on our paper here because that is one of the areas that we would have a little discussion on, the recidivism. Recidivism in short is really inmates, offenders reoffending the law and returning to prison. And so, yes, I would really like that the administration would develop some what you call halfway houses or institutions or areas that when inmates would have left His Majesty's prison, that we have a definite place for them, because there are some inmates would have been incarcerated for extended period of time. They would have lost contact with family members sometimes outside, and so when they return to society, they go right back into the bad habits. But we have programs in His Majesty's prison where inmates would learn skills while there, and so when they go back out into society, they're able to get employment. Some even develop their own little business. Some would have gone into pruning trees. We have individuals there at a Majesty's prison that is very skilled with the chainsaw, and persons who at time to time would ask, how can we assist in cutting down large trees? And so when they would have left the prison, they go into these kind of business. And so, yes, I would like the administration to whether construct or develop places that inmates can go for the short time when they're discharged back into society. And so these can be places that individuals can go until they are able to seek employment and to really be back on their feet and be able to provide for themselves. Yes, we have the recidivism taking place. It's not a very high number, but I do not have the number at hand that I can give right now. But maybe on another occasion, I definitely would have that number. But we do have recidivism taking place, where we see offenders reoffending the law and return back to His Majesty's prison in short order.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more calls, GQ? Okay, let's just hear the calls. Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air. Okay, Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Sir.
Yeah, glad to hear you, but you all got to change the name. You know Her Majesty no more. It's His Majesty. And Mr. Prison Officer, I think you answer them too long. Because you people phone running out.
All right, Carl, I'll try to be brief.
There was a criminal in the prison who killed 2 at one blow. And as soon as that criminal come out of prison, was on a plane and gone away. But that mean the documents them being processed while they're in there. Well, I want to know how many more prisoners in there have that privilege to have the documents them processed while they're in there, that they could go Mount Shot, Bobiol, and wherever they want to go. And the second thing I have to ask again, when somebody going to premeditate the action, go borrow a man tool, and as the man lend him a tool, bust the man head, kill him man. That is premeditated murder. And when a man going to go and kill an individual and then go for the other sister or brother and tell them, see where she be, I kill she, and then kill she. I don't think they're supposed to get out of the jail. That the people who run in for small offense like child support and marijuana and debtors prison, they is the one who's supposed to come out. So I think they need to change the constitution when it comes to that. And the last question, would you as the head of the prison, so that you're satisfied with the health condition that prisoner, human, have to live in their under, I'll listen up the ear. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Carla, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you for the question from that caller. Carla, I must tell you that my job as the commissioner of His Majesty's prison is not to prepare documents for persons. Persons can have persons outside preparing documents. That's not my responsibility. So I would not know who would have prepared documents for an individual. My responsibility is to ensure that the inmates who are inside His Majesty's prison are kept safe and healthy, and we control them until they either get bail or they would have served their time inside Her Majesty's prison. That is my responsibility. You spoke about the health condition of the prison. Everybody is aware that the prison, His Majesty's prison, now what it's been called. If you hear me saying his or her, well, forgive me, it takes a while to adjust to that, because we know King Charles III would have ascended to the throne, and so it should be now His Majesty's prison. So if you hear me sometimes saying, oh, forgive me. Yes, we know that His Majesty's prison was constructed in 1840. That's a long time ago. And everyone is aware that we would have outgrown that, and we definitely would need a new institution. We try our best to work with what we have at this time, and to ensure that we try and keep it as healthy as possible with what we have. We are trying, as I said, my job is to keep the inmates healthy, and so we live close, we reside close to our general hospital, so we can get to the hospital if somebody take ill in quick time, and so that is a plus for us. So if any inmates is ill, we get them medical treatment as quickly as possible. So we work with what we have at the time being. If the administration is good to us and construct a new facility, we will appreciate that.
Yes. Okay. GQ, any more calls? Yes. Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Superintendent Francis. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
And good morning to Commissioner James. Now, my little input this morning, my question this morning about some of these young men who got into prison and maybe spend they get maybe 2 years, 3 years, 6 months or whatever, and they spend the time and they're back into prison again. Because the reason for me to have that, the other day I was working in a certain area and I met about 3 young men there, and they tell me that they just come out of prison and they're trying to help themselves, doing something, you know. So I said that, man, I find something positive with them, man. I can't get no work somewhere. So one of them said that, boy, let me tell you something. If I got to go back, I got to go back, you know, because things hard, you know, brother. Things hard. I said, man, listen, boy, you go to a sheep, do something. Start to raise some animal, do something. You know? So the reason for me to ask the question, they say in the prison so bad, and so much people want to settle, and the condition of India and all kind of thing, right? So I want to know why these young men really want to repeat, do something else, and go back to prison again. And the condition in India, how we hear India be. So sometimes when I meet them, you know, sometimes I give them anything, you know, brother. That's me man with a heart, eh? When you see me come on the radio talk, I don't talk because I want to talk and want to make myself look good. Some of these young men, when I see them, I put something in their hand. You know? The other one and come beg me, come wait for me step here, come beg me $10. Ask me if he ain't working nowhere. He tell me no, he ain't got a job. I tell him anyway, try to get something to do. He tell me he's a working on a job and he want money to pay bus. And about 2-3 weeks I meet him and he tell me he get something to do in construction and I tell him, hold on. You understand? And this thing what we're supposed to do, try to encourage the young man them and try to talk down to them, because I'm telling you, know, this is our future, and when we let these young men get out of hand, is nothing we can do unless we just you know, the police will come just shoot them down like that, like what happening in Jamaica and them things. No, we ain't want that. We want to push our young people go and work for themselves and work for the children and make money and do their own business. All right, wonderful program as usual. Police in with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the call.
Right, thank you for your call, caller.
Do we have any more calls? Pleasant good morning. You're on the air. Yes, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. A comment made earlier in the program caused me to try to get in, because I usually have difficulty getting in. Like a few weeks ago when they were speaking about the prison and how much money it's going to cost and things like that, I did not hear any of them mention about what the European community wanted to do years ago.
Could you speak a little louder, sir? We're trying to hear you.
Hello?
Could you speak a little louder?
They wanted to provide us with a prison, but they said we had to abolish the death penalty as mandatory. So one day, that and thinking change, and he mentioned the question about marijuana. You know, so I'm wondering if possibility of getting the prison from the European community could be checked out again, because they wanted to provide us with a free prison, and that's years ago. See what you could find out about it for me, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, right.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Commissioner.
I must say to that caller, thanks for the call and the question and the suggestion. But I think that is about my pay grade. Anything to do with the death penalty, that is for the lawmakers and the administration to deal with that, whether they're going to take it off the books or what. So I think that is for the administration. In terms of the European Union, that is government speaking to government institution. That is way above my pay grade, so to speak. That is something that the administration would have to look into at this time.
Well, persons in the powers that be are listening, so
yes,
they will listen to your suggestions. So, anyone else? Yes.
question must
Yeah.
come in.
Pleasant good morning. You on the air? Pleasant good morning. Okay, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes.
Next question. Who makes up the Mercy Committee in accordance with the Constitution?
Right. Again, as I mentioned, these are straightforward inside the Constitution. Again, Section 67 of the Constitution speaks about the construction of the Mercy Committee. It said, if I may quickly, there shall be in St. Christopher and Nevis an advisory committee, a prerogative of mercy here known as the committee, which shall consist of A, the minister for the time being, a designated minister who shall be the chairman. So a minister of government will be a member, and he shall be the chairman. The Attorney General, which is the chief law advisor to the government, and it said no less than 3 or no more than 4 other members appointed by the Governor General. So that is in a nutshell is the constitution of the Mercy Committee. A minister of government, a designated minister by the Minister of National Security, who shall be the chairman, the Attorney General, and not less than 3, not more than 4 individuals appointed. These are like the civilians now, appointed by the Governor General. So these persons will make up the Mercy Committee, who will sit and hear the issues concerning the individual who they're required to be given the pardon, and the necessary information will be gathered whether to see if this person should be given a pardon by the Governor General, and then the information is sent to the Minister of National Security, who then forward it on to the Governor General, and in his own deliberate judgment will make that decision.
Understood, sir.
And this is straightforward in the Constitution as I just read it. This is not something that the Commissioner of Corrections make up. Somebody can. This is what is written in Section 67 of the Constitution.
And persons can back check it.
Can back check it.
One last question before we move to any. We have calls? We have 2 calls? Okay, let's take the 2 calls. Pleasant good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. Yes, I recognize that certain things are above your pay grade, but all I was asking is whether or not they could get somebody to inquire whether or not that option was still available from the European community.
Okay.
Because they were willing to give us monies to build a prison some years ago, but they wanted us to remove the mandatory death penalty sentence. One of the presenters earlier this morning said that opinions change and things change, and he cited the marijuana issue. So all I was inquiring is whether or not we could get a query to the European community to find out if that option was still available.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for the clarification, caller.
Thank you. Yes, next call. Okay, we lost that last caller. Mr. Commissioner, usually the time spent on remand is deducted from the prison sentence. What's the difference between remand and serving a sentence? On remand and serving a sentence.
Right. As you will hear, the term a person is remanded at the prison, meaning that they are being charged by the police, and bail was probably objected to, so the person did not get bail depending on the offense that they would have committed, and so they will be what we call remanded, remain at Her Majesty's prison until their case is called up in the court. So which means that that person has not been convicted for any crime as yet, because you know a man is innocent until proven guilty. So once a person has been charged, he has not been given bail, he will be remanded at His Majesty's prison for the time being until his case is heard at the court. Then a person who has been sentenced or convicted in a court of law, then he is sentenced to His Majesty's prison to serve the time. While they are sentenced, they might have been on remand before their case was tried. And so sometimes a person is on remand for 6 months, a year and a half before their case has been tried in the court. And so that time that they spent on remand before the case was tried, when the case is being tried, and if they are convicted by the court, the court is usually minded to deduct that time that they would have spent on remand from their sentence. For example, suppose a man, after he's been convicted, is sentenced to 3 years in prison. You know, we'll have to release him after he served 2, which is the 2/3. But then suppose he was remanded for 1 year. So then you have to now deduct that 1 year out of that 2 years.
2/3.
Right. Yeah? So that means he might now only spend just 1 more year in prison before he's released. So that's
it's like a maths.
A maths.
You have to work it out.
Work out the maths. But it usually be straightforward because the court now is mindful that they will deduct the time that the individual would have spent on remand. He will be credited in his favor, so to speak, for the time that he is remanded. Sometimes a person goes down to the court, they were remanded for 6 months. Their case, the maximum that they should have been spending if they was convicted for that offense would have been 6 months. They already remanded on 6 months, so sometimes the court will just discharge them. Time served, because they would have already spent 6 months on remand, and the maximum for that offense is 6 months. So it would be unfair to really give that man another 6 months for a case that is maximum might be only be for 6 months.
Understood, sir. Any more calls? Okay, we have one call. Pleasant good morning, you're on the air.
Hello, JQ.
You're on the air.
It's Ryan, Inspector Francis.
Yes, please.
I'm in New York and we can't get to YouTube. What's the topic today?
Oh, they can't get into YouTube, he's saying.
Because of the storm.
Oh, because of the storm. We're sorry to hear that. I'm here in the program with...
topic today.
Yeah, the topic we are talking about, we're talking about remissions, extra remissions, pardon at His Majesty Court. His Majesty Prison, sorry, and I'm here with the Commissioner of Corrections.
That's not my knowledge, so I'm passing that one.
Alright, sir. Well, stay safe in the storm.
Thank you.
Alright, all the best. Any more calls, GQ? Okay, we have another call. Pleasant good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, Inspector and them. I had to come back. After one of the call question about the penalties for criminals here down here. England or Europe, I should say, they don't want us to pass on certain punishment to criminals. But look up there in England some years ago when they had some kind of killing on a bus. A guy from Brazil with the backpack, he was jogging going to catch a train, and some police think it best to shoot him, kill the man. Where would that be? They're in the same killing, taking a life? And I want to know, well then, if they give our prisoners down here, our prison, anything for the prisoners immediate for them to benefit, or if they help to maintain our prison. And I think if they don't, I don't think that it should be called His Majesty Prison. It should be called St. Christopher Nevis Prison. That they need to change. They want to tell us down here what to do with our criminals who kill people and leave the victim relatives to suffer for life. They ain't down here to bear it. It's only who in the kitchen feel the heat. And I don't think it is right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Alright.
Okay, GQ, that was the last call? Okay, that was the last call, Mr. Commissioner.
Alright, caller, you made a good point there because, as I said earlier, most of the institutions around the region, they are changing their name to correctional facilities. And so, maybe in the near future, that if we were to get a new facility, it might be named the St. Kitts and Nevis Correctional Facility, something along that line. That one sounds more appropriate, the St. Kitts and Nevis Correctional Facility.
Yes.
Right? So I understand what you're saying, Carla, and going forward, most people are taking away the name of Her Majesty's Prison, now His Majesty's Prison. Right? Persons are changing their institution or their facilities from prisons to correctional facilities.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, I have one more question, then I would allow you to give your closing comments.
Right.
Earlier you mentioned recidivism.
Right.
You gave an explanation. And my question would be, in your view, we see division programs working.
Yes, I think we have some smart programs, but I think the recidivism program, the program that we have seen inmates that would have left the prison and would have gone back into society and have made good of themselves. We know that inmates would have gotten jobs. I know one inmate who now recently left the prison and is now working at the solid waste management. So we know that persons would have used their time wisely while they was incarcerated.
And he's working at the solid waste in a good position.
Yes, he's at the office, not yes. Yes, I must be clear on that. Yes, he's working at the solid, in the administrative office and Taylor's Range. And so yes, there are other inmates who would have skills who would have left the institution and they're now working in jobs with their skill that they would have would have gotten while at the magistrate's prison. So yes, the recidivism program it do work. We would like it to improve. I said we have outgrown the facility that we have. We don't have any workshop on the compound. We even collaborate with the AVEC. We have inmate that goes up to the AVEC to do classes of welding. We have inmate that goes up to the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force on a regular basis to do mechanical work there. We have skilled inmate that can repair vehicles because we don't have on the compound we don't have enough space for that. So we take advantage of going to the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force camp where they have a motor pool, and so inmates go there on a regular basis and learn some skills in auto repairs. So yes, the recidivism program it do work. As we say, if we get even one inmate to change, so we would like that one to multiply to get the multiplying effect, right? So yes, I think we are doing well so far with what we have.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, Mr. Commissioner, I want to thank you for coming. Do you have any closing comments for the listening public?
Yes, I want to definitely thank my staff that has been giving me the support since I've taken up my position there at the Commissioner of Corrections. Having been transitioned from the police force over into the prison, I didn't come up to the prison system, and so I had to learn a lot from my staff, and so I really want to thank them every time for the support that they have been giving me in running the prison. I can't run the prison alone, and so I always tell them, everybody have a part to play in the puzzle for the prison to be running on a daily basis. So I want to thank the staff, the inmates at this time. Their liberty was taken, but as I will tell them that one day you will be integrated back into society. So the time being that you're there, try and make use of the time and taking part in the program that we have there, so that they can better themselves, so that when they are reintegrated back into society. Again, Mr. Francis, I want to thank you for having me on the program. I'm welcome to come back at any time to talk on another topic when it's convenient. And so thank you, and thank the listening public for their questions. And if I would have answered any question that straighten up anything that needed straightening, because persons tend to not be so familiar with the prison. The prison comes up at the back end of the judicial system, and so a lot of time the prison is being forgotten. But people seem to forget that this is another world inside the society. Anybody can go to prison, and so we got to remember that these are people that we have to take care while they are incarcerated also, because they will be returning to society one of these days. So again, thank you, Mr. Francis, for having me, and thank you, the general public, for listening.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Commissioner, as well, for coming. I want to thank you for the good work that you are doing there. You and your staff are doing there at His Majesty's Prison. I'm particularly impressed with the programs that are on board at this time at the prison, and I hope and pray in the future that when you guys get a better facility the programs, more programs will come on board, which would increase the prisoners being able to be engrafted back into society and be of some use to society itself. I want to thank GQ time and time again. I want to thank the management staff of the radio program ZAZ. I want to thank the commissioner and the high command for trying their best to keep this program afloat. I want to thank the listening public, persons who are listening in the wider diaspora, local, regionally. I want to thank you for listening in, tuning in, and I want to thank you for calling in and things of that nature. And I wish you guys all the best in the future. GQ, see you when I see you.
What you know, what you know, what you know, what you know about love? Why all the segregation, all our but one nation? Oh, let us unite as one. Let us unite as one. Tell me what you know about love. Tell me what you know about hate that keeps us separated. Tell me what you think about equal